Hello everybody, welcome back. Jiu-Jitsu 2000 here today. I'm back with an interesting video for you. Today I want to share with you the MSR Rapidfire. This is a stove that MSR does not make anymore. It's very similar to the Whisper Light, but it does not use liquid fuel. What it burns is fuel canisters, these IsoPro canisters. So things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this package and kind of give you a glimpse of what comes in the package. Again, this stove is not available anymore. This is an old stove I've had for quite some time. So here is the heat shield that goes around the stove. This is another heat shield that unfolds. It's a round one and it goes underneath the stove to reflect the heat back upward. Here is the little bit of information that comes with the stove. I've had this thing a long time. And here is the owner's manual, some old contact information, and there is a schematic on the back, parts breakdown, and inside of this manual there is some information. So that's basically what comes with the stove. So now when I pull the stove out, there it is. That's what it looks like. Looks just like a Whisper Light, doesn't it? Except the bottom here does not have the priming cup, and the hose is significantly longer. See how long that hose is? And the hose has the valve on the end of it, and it has the connector so that it can connect to a Lindell style fuel canister, such as these IsoPro fuel canisters. See that? That's the Lindell valve. The last thing that I keep in this bag is the tool that I use to work on the stove, right there. And this other piece is the piece, you can see the wire on the back of it. That piece cleans the jet, the needle of the jet. This is not a shaker jet type stove. This is just a regular stove. It has a jet in it and it is not a shaker. So I put out my pot supports just like this. This lighter is an old dead lighter. It doesn't even work. I just use it for the spark to start the fire, to start the stove. So let's take this thing down on the ground here and we'll fire it up and we'll boil some water. This stove will run on these small IsoPro fuel canisters. It will also run on these little bit larger IsoPro fuel canisters. These are still a Lindell style valve, and it'll also run on these larger ones. And it doesn't have to be MSR fuel, although it's highly recommended that you use MSR fuel. You can also use these other IsoPro fuel cans. These are the old style. They don't even make these anymore. And this one still has fuel in it. So any of these fuels this stove can use. No problem at all. So this stove is very simple and it's very easy to use. I like the fact that it has a long hose because it makes it very easy for me to use these much taller fuel canisters. I'm going to make sure that this valve is completely off so it's in the clockwise position. I'm going to thread on the fuel canister. I'll set everything up and get it nice and stable for the most part. And then I'll slowly turn on a little bit of fuel. When I turn on just a tiny bit of fuel, all I need is a spark to ignite the stove. So I'm going to go ahead and let that thing heat up. 32 ounces of water here. This is 1 liter, almost a quart. And then from here, I'm going to crank this baby up pretty nice, and I'm going to put that pot on there. We're going to get this water boiling. I'm also going to take my phone out, and I'm going to do an elapsed time so that I can see how long it takes to boil this water. So I'm going to get my counter ready. Right there. Hopefully you can see that in the back without a glare. So let's go ahead and lift this pot on. We'll turn the stove up to a high performance. We'll set the pot on there. Now I'll start my timer here. Now we wait. So we're a little bit over 1 minute in. Let's take a look and see what it looks like. We're just barely starting to get some bubbles in there. Nothing too crazy. We got an extremely light boil right now. Just keep letting her go and see what happens. We're at 1.5 minutes right now. We are approaching the 2-minute mark, and we still have the same light kind of boil. Nothing too crazy. I like these stoves that use the IsoPro fuel because they operate very simple. They're good for, you know, warm weather conditions. If you take these in cold weather, this particular stove wouldn't work too good in cold weather conditions because it only runs in vapor mode. For extreme cold, you'd have to have, in my opinion, you'd have to have a stove that can operate in liquid fuel mode. So we're a little over 2.5 minutes, and we haven't really changed too much. We're still kind of looking the same way we were. Getting a little more of a boil out of it. Almost to the 3-minute mark. Now we are at 3 minutes, and we're just about to boil. And that's 1 liter of water. That's a lot of water. So this is a pretty good test. Getting more bubbles in there. Things are starting to get hotter. You can see the steam and everything. Now we're at a pretty good rolling boil. 3.5 minutes. .340. So I would say that we are at a good rolling boil. So that was about 3 minutes and 45 seconds or so. 3:50 is on the clock right now, and we have achieved a very nice rolling boil. Another thing that I like about these types of stoves is the flame control on these things is excellent. Flame control is beautiful, so if you want to turn this thing down and get really precise on your flame control, you can do that on this stove. See this valve right here where my finger is. Just turning that down nice and slow, and you see how easy that flame just adjusts exactly to what I want. Pretty cool. So I can go down to a very light simmer. If I had some stew or something, or you know, whatever I'm cooking, I can just go down really nice and easy. So again, folks, this is the MSR Rapidfire. Again, it's a stove that's been discontinued by MSR. It's a great stove. It reminds me a lot of the old Whisper light. To me, it looks identical to it. So I hope you got some good, useful information out of this video. Please feel free to leave your comments down below. Like this video, share this video, and if you like the content that you see on my channel, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. And until next time, folks, have a beautiful day. Thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.